Hold on.
Here's another reason why you want to take control of what you're doing.
Everything kind of funnels into the only winning move is not to play the game.
So I got to ask permission to buy the gun, and then I got to pay to ask permission to carry the motherfucker outside of my house. How about you go fuck yourself?
How about you?
How about that, man?
Oh,
Welcome to the Weather Report. Everybody's got their Weather Report cups today.
Absolutely.
We now have swag. We now have swag. Everybody have.
Absolutely.
We now have swag.
Thanks to
Anyway, hey, I want to welcome you guys. Hopefully, some of you guys will show up that got the email this week that I put out. I got brave and finally hit the send button on the promotion for the podcast and the website and all that other stuff. I'm really excited. This is episode 2 we're going into, and it's great. The response that I got from the campaign that we did, because that's kind of what you do when you send out the mailer. It's called a campaign. Actually, Harkos knows a little bit more about it than I do, but he's the one that kind of held my hand through it. But hey, Niners are going to the Super Bowl. Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl, and neither one of you give a shit, but I don't care. I'm the only football fan here. But anyway, hey, so the big news for me today.
Well, you live in California. You got to have something to live for.
Yeah, your state's finally represented in a positive way for winning something. So there you go.
It was 80 degrees here today.
That's too hot.
So it was 40. It was 44 here today.
It was right around that here too in Indiana, which is weird that Minnesota and Indiana are about the same temperature.
Yeah, in Minnesota, it was in Minnesota degrees, it was 84.
In Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota degrees. It's nice out here. The Amish guys were what they got to put the winter shoes on the horses. They got to take them off so they can run down the road without scraping her up too bad there.
The winter shoes on the horses. All right.
This is what we get to do.
I wish I was kidding about that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not.
Or that I knew about that.
So any of you guys that are out there watching, you can see that the show title was food, and I have a bug up my ... And man, let me tell you, my weekend, it went pretty good, but let me tell you about this hotel room I got.
Okay, I didn't know you went anywhere.
Yeah, well, a guy that I know that makes wine, his name is Mike. I won't tell him his last name, but he makes wine, and he's also the engineer, my lead engineer that I work under at work. Had his 65th anniversary last night in a place called Scott's Seafood up at Jack London Square in Oakland. And Jack London Square is like this touristy little place in Oakland, California, and Oakland doesn't have a great reputation right now. It's like San Francisco, there's homeless all over, shit on the street, all this other crap, and it's just
In-N-Out just left.
In-N-Out just, yeah, you heard the news. In-N-Out just left.
Yep.
So basically, when I go to parties or anything like that, even when I go to the barn, I'll have one drink and then I'll stop right when it's the first night. Well, this one I just said I wanted to have the luxury of just being able to have a couple of glasses of wine. I was drinking Maker's Mark last night, so I decided I go like, hey, there's a hotel right next to Scotty's. It's called the Waterfront, which the Waterfront supposed to be the old romantic place, and all that. So went and got a room. Cost about $200 to get the room. Get there. And the hospitality was great. Valet parking, they came and got your stuff, like the bellhop and stuff, all that crap. It was all fine and dandy. We get up to our room. And when we got out of the elevator, I didn't know which way to go because there was no real directional thing, which way to go. But there was numbers on the room. So I went 318, 319. Oh, going the wrong way. I got to turn around because I'm going to 317. Well, 317 was right around the corner from the elevator. Well, what we noticed when we got into the elevator is that the elevator was really loud. The motor was really loud. The cables were rattling up against the wall. And when the doors opened, you can hear the springs of the doors and they would rattle and hit the wall, right? Well, guess where our room was?
Right next to the elevator.
Right next to the elevator.
It's like sitting in the back of a guitar amp when they put it down. The reverb.
It was the worst. Not only that, outside of our window, the mezzanine there where they had all the air handlers and stuff, and then have an air handler that went off every hour. Then the refrigerator inside the room was humming.
Wow.
So we were kind of tight for time, so we're we got there like at 4:00, the thing starts at 5, my wife's trying to get ready and stuff like that. We really didn't notice too much about the noise or anything. So we really didn't say anything until we got back. We got back, we're just all like, holy shit. Because there's people coming up and down the elevator, and that's all you hear is this bang, ting, and then the air handler would go off for about 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
It was the worst.
Did you get your money back or any kind of
Oh
compensation?
no, dude! I wrote a scathing review.
Yeah, but I would have went downstairs and been like, "Hey,
come
on."
Yeah, I know. I should have.
Bruce is a nice guy when it comes to stuff like that. I think I just get that it's like they're just trying to do their job, and their job is to keep the person in that room awake all night so that everyone else doesn't complain. This time they got lucky.
I wrote such a scathing review that either Hilton was going to come back and they're going to contact me, or Hotels.com is going to contact me, and I'm going to go, look, you need.
It was a Hilton.
It was a Hilton. Yeah.
Jeez,
it was a Hilton. Yeah, it was a Hilton. Yeah, it was a Hilton.
Did you get
hotel.
like the cheapest room there, or was it moderate?
No, it wasn't the cheapest room. Oh, yeah, I guess it was the cheapest room. I mean,
did the Hilton at the end of
was $167 a night, $212 once I got out the door for one night. I mean, fuck, that's an expensive room, dude.
Was it Hitlin?
Yeah, exactly. Was it a knockoff Hilton?
It's a Hilton. Yeah, that was an Amazon Hilton.
It was a Timu one. It was a Timu version.
Yeah. Wish Hilton.
Yeah, exactly.
One of our Facebook users said, go for it in ours. Hey, we did get somebody to sign up to the website. Actually, he lives in Wisconsin. His name is Gary. Gary, if you're out there listening, thanks for responding and hooking up with the website. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
Out in Wisconsin.
He lives in Eau Claire, which is 30 or 40 miles away from you.
Eau Claire.
Oh, yeah.
It's pronounced
Eau Claire. It's called Eau Claire.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's Eau Claire. Yeah.
Me and my grandpa used to go on fishing trips to Duluth, Minnesota every summer for like 2 weeks or whatever in the middle of summer and stuff like that, from here in Indiana all the way up there. There's a long drive, but I remember, isn't right around in Eau Claire somewhere? Is that the one that's right on Lake Superior or close to it? Because
not even close.
Well, then,
Eau Claire
does
have a big river, but they are a big lake, but they're off of 94, Highway 94.
I remember that every time we were going up, we would stop at a Perkins, right? And it was for breakfast because we had been driving like for so long. We stopped at a Perkins right on Lake Superior. I can't remember exactly where it was at.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, maybe like a sign said Eau Claire that way or something like that. But we stopped, and I remember that all the time because like sometimes it would look awesome, sometimes it would be hella foggy and stuff. But it was cool because the Perkins was like it was like a lighthouse on the shore, basically, is like how it was. Perkins are like everything up there.
Yeah. Well, when I come into Minneapolis today, that I come in on Thursday, I'm going to be passing right by you and going to what does he call it? Eau Claire? Is that what we call it? Eau Claire?
Yeah. Eau Claire.
I'm going to go have lunch with Gary. And,
I think we're about an hour. I'm an hour out. So I'm involved.
Yeah, because he's 85. He's one of the founders of the fishing trip that I go on every year at Lake Lundy in California here, and he doesn't go anymore because he's so old. But I want to go out there because it might be the last time we see him and stuff like that, and then I have something to take to the fishing trip with me and go like, I got to see him and you didn't. So
yeah, there you go.
And he's a great guy. He really is a great guy. And I remember sitting around fires with him, and he loved Manhattans and drank brandy and other stuff like that. We just would sit around a campfire. And I met him my first year in 1984 when I went there, and my first year at that camp. And it was really cool. It was really fun. But I miss the guy. He's one of the founders of our fishing trip. And man, just thanks, Gary, for being there for us, man. I can't wait to see you in June, man, when I come out to come meet Ken and because me and Ken has never met, me and Chris has never met, we've never shaken hands, and I don't know where Jason's at today, but
yeah, well, he's in Minnesota somewhere.
Yeah, he's in Minnesota somewhere. But
He's coming.
yeah,
He was having a link issue. I think we've got it
he
handled.
was having a link issue today.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
That's what
All right,
happens.
cool.
Sometimes
Anyhow.
the Commonwealth and the Brotherhood of Minnesota blocks blocks signals to any kind of freedom.
So one of the other bugs up my ass this week because it's been an up and down week at work, kind of slow, kind of fast, and when it's slow, I have to look for the last page of the internet, which is like it's page after page after page of stuff. So I keep looking for the last page of the internet, and that way it could be over and I never have to look again.
It
But,
never happens.
I can't. I can't. So mostly I'm stuck looking at the news, and I don't know how you guys feel about the immigration, about the border thing right now, but it's driving me fucking nuts, dude. It really is. I've got so many different types of people around here that have different ideas on what's going on with the border. And Ken, I know you are you're probably the best versed out of everybody with the politics of it and all, but from a layman's point of view, as from a libertarian point of view, like mine, is like, I don't care about the open border. I think that the border should be regulated in a ways as much as to, hey, let's vet you, find out what you're all about. Then we're going to decide whether we let you in or not.
Okay? Well, that's what we always did traditionally in this country. And what's happening down south right now is an invasion. And I don't care what anyone says about it. That's what it is. It's an invasion. Good, bad, or ugly. It's an invasion. If you're on the left, it's brilliant. It's really what flipped Minnesota from being a red or purple state to a blue state pretty solidly. Was the bringing in of refugees and then bringing in of and their voting laws and stuff like that made it so from the political side of things, you get elected if you can bring more people in to vote, and that will vote for you. That does happen, but really the problem is that there's so many goddamn Canadians that keep coming down here that I'm with you. We have to do something. We got to vet these people. I mean, you get some years dozens come walking across the border up into Minnesota and Wisconsin, and we don't know what to do with it. They'll shoot a deer and bring it back up to Canada. They're taking our food, and it's a horrific thing.
Did they come to your southern border too from wherever?
From Iowa? Yeah. You should know about this too, Harkos. You got some Iowans that'll cross you have a buffered state between you and Iowa.
Yeah, I got Indiana or Illinois between Iowa and Indiana, but yeah, we get actually a lot of immigration from Chicago down to where I live here in central Indiana. And
you see what
that's an interesting. That's an interesting.
You're talking about fibs, though. That's a whole different brand of person.
The fibs.
Yeah,
fibs.
Fucking
Illinois.
Illinois.
What the hell is a fib?
Fucking Illinois bastards.
Oh, yeah. That's what I get. Well, I mean, it's only an hour and a half. It's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is this is a cultural education for those outside of the Midwest.
Well, yeah, there's that. But I mean, it's only an hour and a half drive from Gary or Chicago area down to where I'm at here in Indiana, central Indiana. So it's not that hard to get here. I mean, shit, I can go up there and back in one day, no problem.
Well, pretty much straight roads up there. I mean, there's nothing in the way. So you just
true.
Roads,
yeah,
right?
that is true. It's pretty much a straight drive.
Real straight road.
Yeah,
straight.
Yeah, no, you do, man. Like once you get up there, then you start kind of going around the city or whatever, on the interstate. But other than that, from here to the interstate, it's just like.
Yeah. And in a normal winter, you don't even have to turn for a lake. You just go straight across it.
Well, there's that, I guess, if you want to do that too, if you want to go to Canada that way. But so I'm kind of with you on the border situation down at the Southern American border. It's one of those weird situations because I'm with you, Bruce, where I think that people should be able to come in and you just get vetted and come on in, right? However, the thing is that it's not easy to vet people when they come from other countries, especially shithole countries, right? And so that makes it difficult. It's like, okay, well, as long as you're not in Interpol, you're good. Okay, well, maybe that dude was a mass murderer down there or something like that, or he was robbing banks like crazy, but Interpol never put him in the database, and that country is basically, a failed state, so they don't have a database. You know what I'm saying? They never caught him or something like that. Or maybe they caught him and keep escaping because, like, you know, there's a hole in the prison wall or something like that, right? Maybe some crazy shit like that. But so, like, but at the same time, like, I'm all for people coming up here. And yes, Ken, like you said, it is kind of like an invasion because of so many people that are coming all at once.
Yep.
And so like there's the dichotomy of all that stuff involved. It's like, yeah, we've always been a country of immigrants. Yeah, come on over, check in, go in, start your life, enjoy, right? Make the best of yourself. That's the way we've always been and everything like that. I think the system has been so perverted now to where they make people trying to come here legally. It's a pain in the ass.
It
It's
takes
definitely
7. It takes 7 years.
Yeah, it's definitely
At
7
least
years.
7 years. At least
Yeah.
7 years. See, the thing is that, like, I manage a restaurant in my regular time, and the owner is from, him and his wife are from Jordan, right? And actually, one of his cousins now works there as well too. And I got 2 Jordanians that work with me, well, for me technically. But anyway, it is a pain in the ass. Like, he had to come over here on a the owner of the restaurant that I work at now, back before he was an owner and stuff like that, he had to come over on a student visa. So he had to get a whole nother degree, because in order to come over on a student visa, you already have to have a high level of education to begin with. So he already had a master's degree or something like that, maybe more than one degree already, came over here for the graduate program, and then stayed over here and got another degree in order to stay over here. And then he finally got a job being a professor at the university here at Purdue, right? And then that gave him the green card, and so then he's good. Once you get your green card, then you're good, right? Because when you're on a student visa, you're only eligible for once you're no longer a student, you only have like 2 or 3 years to have like whatever that working one is, where it's not a green card, but it's like a work permit almost, basically.
Right.
And if that doesn't get renewed, you're kicked the fuck out. Like, you could be working, doing something very, very important, very, very good for the country, very, very good for the economy and everything like that, doing what you're supposed to do 100,000%. But then all of a sudden, like, oh, well, we didn't approve you for a green card because of whatever bullshit regulatory bureaucracy bullshit is going on. And so now you got to go back to your country. And the thing is too, is that a lot of times when people come over here, the United States government pays for them to be in the graduate program. So they get their education paid for, they get a stipend for housing, everything like that. And then we don't even fucking use them for the benefit of our country. Like, if they go through all of that, if they already have a graduate's degree or something like that, or a master's degree or whatever, they come over here, now they're a fucking doctor, or they're a pre-doc or whatever the fuck is going on. They have high level education, high level skills and everything like that. And the government's already put tens of thousands of dollars into them. Why the fuck are we going to send them back? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but at
we're
the
not
same time, we're down at the southern border, right?
We're
They're
not talking
bringing
about
in
the
all
highly
the
educated people here.
low-skilled ones. Yeah, I
we're
know.
not
That's
talking
what I'm
about
saying.
highly educated people here, dude. We're talking
Exactly.
about people that claim that they're coming from corrupt countries, that they have to flee, that they have to be, they've already, quote, been vetted for their asylum paperwork and stuff like that. There's actually a reporter. There's actually a reporter that went down to South America and got on the trains, went all through the motions and stuff like that. Got on the train. He's doing some up straight freaking really good stuff. You can catch this on the last episode of the Jimmy Dore Show. And he's been there, and he says the UN is down there on these trains, on these places, these roads, these trucks and stuff, giving people where to cross, not at a immigration place, or not at a border, a traditional border place, because there's 29 different places that you can go into port in Texas. 12 of them are mainland, or on the mainland. One is the Eagle Pass, okay, but not at the park that they've got, locked down. But there's an actual port of entry there, but they're not going through there, and the UN is telling them how to get through and how to circumvent all that stuff. So we're fighting a battle between the UN, the countries that are either throwing their worst people out and having them come up, north and up to the border. And to me, like you said before, I don't care if they come up here and vet them and stuff like that. But you have to stop them at the border, and you have to go like, you're not coming in, and this is fucking Mexico's fucking problem. It ain't our fucking problem.
Can I
And
throw
they
in
stay
the
in
thing
elephant?
is-
Mexico
Let me
until
throw
they
in the
fucking-
elephant in the room. Let me throw in the
Go
elephant
ahead.
in the room, because this is something that I've never heard anyone on any side of it say. You've got I don't know the exact number. It's somewhere between 3 and 5 million in the last 4 years have come through there, right?
Yeah.
And on the one side, you got people saying this is all terrorists, Chinese operatives, and murderers, thieves, raves, and drug mules. And I'm looking at it going, if there was 4 million of those people that dumped in their country in the last 4 years, this would be a bloodbath here.
Mhm.
It's not. It's mostly people that are coming up to work. Now, a lot of them are fleeing these countries that are horrific, because South America is a complete shit show right now,
Oh, yeah.
except for one country with Argentina. The new president there is he's just
Yeah,
kicking
Milei.
ass and
Yeah,
taking names.
Milei.
Yeah, but the reason
But-
he's
but
kicking
hold on,
ass is
but hold
because
on,
it
but
was a
hold-
shit show.
Yeah, I know, but hold on. So,
Right.
but it's 20 years that if everything turns around, it's gonna take 20 years to make a difference. So the laws in the like we discussed before, because this is where it does make a difference, that it's so hard to get into this country with the technology we have now. I mean, you're not going to vet every person from every podunk town in Brazil. You're just not. There's no way to do it. But the average person that's going to be coming up from the podunk town in Brazil where he made $37 last month isn't the threat. He wants to come here and work, and he's got relatives that still live there and send the money back. And Minnesota's a sanctuary state, so is Wisconsin. And when you hire people to come up, California's had this going on for 100 years.
Forever. Yeah, forever.
But
I mean,
these people come, like the guys that roofed my house and sided my house when we had hail damage. We had $40,000 of hail damage. Who came and did it? A group of this was all Spanish speaking laborers. I don't know where they were from. The ones I talked to, I wanted to talk to these guys, but they work so goddamn hard,
Yes,
and
they
there wasn't a nail in the yard. These guys did an amazing job, and I know they're getting used and not getting paid what they should be, and I think that's horrible. And
Yeah.
I give them tips. I make sure that they're fed, that there's food, that they're comfortable. They need anything. Hey man, I got a 7-horse, half-horse compressor out here. If you want to use that instead of yours, so you can take, you don't have to use yours, go ahead. I want good people here that want to work and do the deal, and that's mostly what's coming across, and that's what nobody's talking about. And that's why, Bruce, I'm with you on this, but you can't just have it fucking open.
Yeah.
You
no,
need
can't
to
have
have
it.
you need to be able to control it and say, all right, hey,
that's my argument right there, is that you just can't swing the freaking doors open and say, come on in. I mean, because
and that's why Texas is doing the right thing. They're shutting it down.
You got Chinese nationals coming in. You got people from overseas that are coming in through the southern border and stuff like that, which I just don't understand. I know what the attraction is. The attraction is, we're still as fucked up as the freaking country that we are. People still want to come here because we got the best thing fucking going. I mean,
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
capitalism's the worst form of an economy, other than all of the others.
And then they got
Yeah.
to come here, and then they got to come here and they got to listen to all the shit that's going on in our government right now, saying like, well, now we're leaning towards socialism, which is exactly what they're freaking running away from.
Right.
I hear a news report this morning that they're going like, oh, well, all these people are coming over and the Democrats are letting them in because they're going to vote Democrat, and it's just like, I'm going like, I don't think so.
I'm with you on that, because I don't understand that. Like I said, like the people I work with are from Jordan. They're like religious Muslims. Like all the people that I work with, they're like practicing Muslims, praying multiple times a day and shit like that. And the owner, he was talking to me, he was like, man, all these people keep saying that like all these immigrants are coming over here and voting Democrat. He's like, Muslims aren't. He's like, we're the most religious conservative people you could think of, man. So that makes me wonder. It's like, how do people
I can
come
explain it.
from Somalia to Minneapolis and turn it blue? Oh wait, is there fraud going on? Are these people actually voting, or are people voting for them?
I can explain it. And it's very simple. If someone's going to give you something, you are going to want to work with them. Right. These people that are coming in don't know that they don't align with what these Democrats are doing and what the left is doing, because the left is doing what the left is doing. They're down there working, hugging, holding babies, feeding people. They're doing God's work. I hate to say it, because the people on the right aren't. They're the ones down there and say,
Oh, no.
"You get back in the bus and go across the border, and we're gonna throw you all out." What the fuck do you think you're gonna who are you gonna do? Because they can just show it. This is what people think. Now, as far as Minneapolis goes and the Somali community, when they first came, they were a bunch of hardworking. It was the same thing, but these are refugees. Refugees are not immigrants. Refugees aren't people trying to get in. Refugees are a different thing. They don't come to assimilate, learn the society, build their neighborhood into something. There's the North End in Boston. It's an Italian section. It's a wonderful place, right? There's an Irish section. There's Chinatown. There's all these sections, but they still assimilate with the rest of society.
Mm-hmm.
The Somalians aren't. They're just taking over what they do, and they kind of it's kind of sad because I watched it all happen over the last few years. There's a Hmong community that was also a bunch of refugees and people that moved over here in the 80s, and that was a huge thing. And these people assimilated, started businesses, lived the American dream, took it and ran with it. And there's not a problem.
Yeah, we've got a huge Vietnamese.
And this is the difference. It's a difference in culture. Now, if you have all these people coming up, and you've got some people on the border saying, "Hey, we're shipping you back to the hellhole that is going to kill your family when they see you," or, "Hey, come with us, and we'll you can go up to Minneapolis, you can go to New York, or we'll ship you over to this state or that state, and we'll help you out. And here's a phone and a couple $1,000 so you don't starve. And yes, all your family can be together." Who you going to vote for?
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
They ship you to states where the voting is a lot more liberal. I mean, the voting laws and the things are a lot more liberal. So, like in Minnesota, I've mentioned this in the past. You could vouch for a person. So, and either one of you guys could come with me and go over to see Jason in Minnesota, and he'd vouch for the three of us, saying, "Yeah, they just moved here or something. I vouch for him." He doesn't even have to give a reason. Doesn't have to show an ID, nothing. And you can do that for 16 people at a time. So
in California, the immigrants can vote in state and local elections here.
Yep.
But they can't vote in the federal elections, which to me is a bunch of bullshit, but it is what it is.
So if we're going to let them vote, let's get them on damn tax rolls and say, let's make them, you get people in here, make it easier to be
that's what they complain. They complain that they are in the tax rolls because of the underhanded stuff that the community that supports them as far as work is concerned, farmers, of course, they're farm workers. And I would say to that their amount of tax revenue amounts to just purchasing and doing stuff and living here.
When I say tax system,
they don't pay any type of payroll tax or anything like that.
But what I'm saying, getting them in the tax system, it gets them to be legal. That gives them the opportunity to not have to live in the shadows, to be able to come together.
Yeah,
you can't tell me all these people coming out here aren't going to create
shadows. A lot of them want to live in the shadows because they make more money to send home. I mean, I've got a family of them next door to me. That's what they do.
No, I understand that, but they wouldn't have to. They would make more money if they weren't in the shadows. But they just think that that's the way they have to do it because they're legal or whatever. There's more problems than just the people coming over the border. There's a reason they're coming. We're the only country people try to break into in the entire world. We're the only country.
Yeah, and there's a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason, and yeah, we got some screwed up shit going on, but
it can't just be the handouts. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a wide combination of a lot of different things that draw people here. You know, I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's our welfare system. They just get on the welfare." It's like that can't be the only reason.
That can't be the only reason. No,
there's probably some, but that's probably not the only reason. No, it's probably very, very diverse.
I've got a whole household of them that live right next door to me. It's a turnstile of people that come from the border. They come up and they stay with the family, and they find jobs. And basically, we've only had problem with 2 or 3 out of them, maybe 2 out of them, out of the whole 12 years I've lived here. And they're quickly disposed of. I don't know where they go. All I see is shovels and limestone, but no, they're not around very long, and they're hardworking people, and I talk to them and stuff like that.
They're good people,
they talk about their families back down in South America, and they send their money down there and stuff like that, and it's just like they want to make as much money as they can, but they really don't want to be in the spotlight. They don't want, I mean, if they can and they can get their citizenship and it's easy enough for them because a couple of them have,
That's
that
the
they
problem.
go they go that
Yeah.
route, and then they're able to do that. But for the most part, they're just up here for, you know, the season, and then
Yeah,
they're
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 economic
spending their money
migrants.
back
Right,
home,
right.
and then come off season, boom, they're gone.
Yeah,
Right.
they're
You know,
economic migrants.
They're-
What do
it-
you guys think about like so they said that after Roe v. Wade was overturned, that pretty much killed the abortion argument for the Republicans, right? It pretty much killed the abortion argument in total, right? Because once they did that, is that there's no fight anymore, right? What do you guys think about the idea that this problem, which is easily fixed one way or another, continues to be a double-sided problem, like everything that you guys were just saying, in order for it to be a political fight all the time, just playing the game of tug of war, but not actually moving anywhere?
because
it's all
because
it's a
once-
pendulum
because-
swing.
Yeah, exactly. Because once one person gets in, let's say Trump wins.
Mhm.
Okay, is anything going to happen? He's going to push for his wall. The other people are going to push back. Nothing's going to get done. Still going to have people coming over the border. He might be a little bit more stringent and stuff, and deport some people and stuff like that. But nothing's going to be done.
Mhm.
No, he'll
Chris,
slow it down.
nothing-
I
nothing has
disagree.
been done.
He will
Nothing
slow
has
it.
been done with this thing. Reagan was like the worst person that did anything
Yeah,
because he
Reagan
just
was bad.
gave amnesty to everybody that came
Everybody.
in. You know, but I mean, that's just the way it is, and that
Yeah.
just goes to our point that we say every show. It's just like, you know, we're here, and the only winning move is to not to play the game, because this is what's going to happen. We got a election
Yeah.
coming up. Biden's this way, Trump's that way. If he gets there, whatever. Nikki
Right.
Haley's even worse, but but I'm not
I really hope not. I might have to move to Canada. I mean, fucking shit. We're actually Mexico. Sorry, Mexico, because they'll be more inclined.
Well,
with
then you can
my-
come back in anytime too.
There's that too. There's that too. I actually know somebody who goes down. He goes down to Mexico, and he can only go down for 6 months at a time, because if not, he will get arrested by the Mexican
Right.
authorities.
Right,
So he
exactly.
goes down, and then he has to leave by the day that they say he's at there. Because if not, they know where he's at the whole time. See, that's the thing too, is that Mexico don't play, right? and he's an American. He makes American money. You know, everything like that. You know, he does all right because he works online and stuff like that. But he
I'd
has
go
to
the
come
day
back up here
before
for
and see
6
if they give me
months.
a ride.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I got to be out of here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can you want to give me a ride up to the guy there? Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, this is
I'm
the
a little
weather report, and I just want to welcome you guys again to the weather report. This is episode 2. We got Ken, Mad K Ken over there, Mad K Studios. Chris Harkos doing his production stuff. What the name of your company, Chris? I'm sorry.
Music
again?
Making Sense podcast.
Music Making Sense podcast. Jason of Horrible Designs, who is our silent partner here. He just kind of, he occupies that one corner there, and he is the one that actually makes all this nice swag for us. We do have nice swag now. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, those
and
are some
and
pretty
speaking-
moves.
Yeah, and speaking of the Muslim company that I work for and stuff like that, Jason actually in the mug, he actually sent me one of my favorite stickers, was Jesus, saying I saw that, and I'm actually going to take that as a magnet. I'm going to put that on the freezer at work, you know, for all the Muslims and stuff like that work there. And some of y'all might think that's hateful, but it's just funny, because like a lot of Christians think that Muslims don't believe in Jesus. No,
They do.
they don't believe
do.
that he's
Absolutely.
the Messiah.
Yeah,
but
think
they
he's a
do
prophet.
revere him.
They
They
believe in
revere
Jesus.
him
Oh,
as
yeah.
one of the greatest prophets next to
Yes.
Muhammad, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And they even it's very interesting, because a lot of people who are not affiliated with Muslim or haven't even looked into Islam, they don't know that it's basically like Muhammad came a few hundred years after Jesus as a reformation. He didn't knock out everything else. Just like when Jesus came, he didn't knock out all the Jewish shit. It's still in there too, because Islam, they still fucking talk about Abraham and Isaac and all them motherfuckers
yeah.
too. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, no, it's just really, really funny, because, you know, here in America, a lot of times, well, people like me, we have a slang where we're like, oh, Jesus, oh, you know, Jesus, oh, fuck, you know, Jesus, you know, like I spilled that, oh, shit, you know, Jesus, you know, we say stuff like that, right? And one of the guys, he was actually like, man, why do you say Jesus all the time? I was like, cuz praise his name, you know, and it's just hilarious. Like, we make jokes like that back and forth all the time. And so thanks to horrible designs, I got a magnet of Jesus saying, I saw that. I'm going to put on
There we go.
the
There we go.
magnet.
Well,
you know.
I also want to do another shout out to Aaron of the I Had to Say It podcast. He gave us an absolutely fantastic promo.
Mhm.
And he mentioned Ken a lot in it, and I just want to thank Ken, number one, for putting the bug in his ear. but yeah, if you guys have a chance, go and listen to the I Had to Say It podcast. You can get it on any of your podcast apps that you want to get to. I love the podcast; makes me laugh. It kind of brings Harkos down and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I listened to the latest episode the other day for my first time, and like
that was a good one.
3/4 of the way through it, I'm like, man, like this dude makes me want to fucking smash some shit. Because like, you know, he's talking, he knows his shit. This is what I was telling the guys on the other day.
He's a smart guy.
Yo, he knows what he's talking about.
Yes,
he
he
reads
is.
his stuff. He's well versed on what he's talking about. He's not putting out any bullshit. But since he does that, he's so upset about everything. And he even had to take a break in the middle of it to calm down. He
did.
literally said that, right? And so then like he's just so shitty the whole time because of the shitty stuff that he's talking about. So I mean it goes with the territory that I was just like, oh God, I gotta so I turned on like Kill Tony just to fucking bring my mood up. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so shout out to him. Absolutely. I have no problem. I'll go on that podcast and talk with him sometime too. But
Yeah, I've known Aaron for a long time, and that's just, it's the way he is, but he is very, very intelligent.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just after so long. Oh wait, I think he's in the chat. So
There
after
he is.
after
After you just called him shitty. There you go.
Yeah.
He's coming for you.
hey,
another
I'll
Midwesterner,
stick
too.
with exactly what I just said. But I know I'm
Awesome
on
show.
live. But no, 3/4 of the way through, I was like, whew, God, I'm toasting. So maybe just like in 20-minute chunks, I'll have to do him from now.
You know,
on.
I always say with any podcast, listen to 5.
Yes.
Get 5 deep. You know, and Chris, you know, the first one I listened to you, your podcast, you and JD. I didn't know what the hell to think of it.
Yeah.
And I'm addicted to it.
Yes,
now.
I
I'm
like
just
it now too. Yeah.
I was sitting there last night. This is true story because I was trying to do something to be a wise ass and send you some stuff. I was trying to play the drums along while listening to it because I was practicing. So I had the podcast going and I couldn't figure out the tech to get it to record. But you know, I'm just I'm gonna mess with them. I ended up just sitting there and I'd stop playing. I'd just sitting there, and pretty soon 15 minutes had gone by. I'm just sitting there holding the drumstick on my drumstick, going, oh fuck, you know, and it's like it's a great show. Aaron's shows like that too. I started listening to that I don't know, this summer, and I just really liked. There's a group of shows out now, and Aaron, I put him in the same group of people that, you know, it's the fuck around and find out group of just, you know what, damn it, it's about time we just spoke truth to power and just spoke real like we all talk, you know. And I was always a person that never swore online or did anything. I tried to be that, and I'm just like, screw it, because this is the way people are. You know, this is the way people talk, and we're all pretty pissed right now.
Yeah.
And I am a Christian, and I'm, you know, I'll probably go into hell for about 10 things I've done here in the last hour, but
I'll save you a seat, Ken.
well, yeah, save me a seat, keep it warm. But you know, it's just one of those things. There's Aaron's show, your show, and you know, some of the things that Jason's doing at Horrible Designs with his irreverent, completely
That's
politically incorrect
we're going to hell.
merchandise. It's great. So I mean, this is just everybody, guys, here, just check out. You know, we're gonna have, if we're gonna change everything, we got to change everything, and that starts with art, music, culture, news. I mean, everything you see and do in your daily life. Until that changes, who gives a shit what's happening in Washington and who's the president? Because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, might as well have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well.
Right. I've had some of the extremely religious people on the right tell me that my stuff is sacrilegious, and I just say thank you, and it pisses them off. It's funny.
You know, we've got a spammer here on the chat here, and I'm going to get rid of this guy because
No, I like him.
That's fine. That's fine. You know, he's a Jew and he's not a Christian and all this other stuff. But I mean, he's getting a little out there. So I don't know if I'm going to put him on a timeout, but I don't know who else is looking at this, but we'll be good with it anyway. go ahead. So, I mean,
It's
we're
all
just
good.
trying to.
It's all good. Let him say whatever the fuck he wants. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, he can.
And anybody else can talk with him if they want to. We'll just
Yeah,
keep it moving.
absolutely.
But yeah,
Chat room's open.
shout out to Aaron. I had to fucking say it. I think you should put the
Yeah.
word fucking in your thing.
He
man.
should.
I had to
100%
fucking
say it,
say it. That should be.
Yeah.
You put like the
Aaron,
asterisk
you were
in there or
great, dude.
whatever.
We love your podcast, and we're just going to keep going on with you. And
Yeah, I just have to
we
be
will
in the
stay-
right.
we-
I have to
we
be in
will
the right
stay-
headspace first before I listen to it. Because if not, I'm just like, oh.
We'll
But-
send you that promo,
yeah.
man, as soon as we get it cut. So
Absolutely.
and definitely send us a promo so we can send a promo on your podcast, at least on the audio portion. But
Yeah.
So one of the topics of the day that we have here is that I just want to ask the panel here, is that, as I asked every week, as I asked last week, what is like the most likely disaster that's going to happen in your area? I mean, to me, the most likely thing that happens here in Gilroy would be an earthquake. So Jason, you're part of town, and Ken, you guys are both in the same part of town. What is your guys' like most likely thing that happens?
It's seasonal for us.
Sharknado.
Yeah, it's tornado or blizzard.
Sharknado.
Sharknado. Yeah. See, Jason, they're laughing because they don't know. They
You
don't.
definitely have to watch out for those, don't you, Jason? I mean, sharks that
Yes.
come all the way halfway across the fucking country to be in a tornado. That's
Yep.
Herein lies the problem. I mean, the walleye nados are not nearly as bad. A trout nado kind of hurts.
The trout nados are really bad.
The
a pike
trout
nado
nados-
would be a pain in the ass because those figures have big sharp. Those are a muskie. Those have big sharp teeth.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, there's areas.
Chris, what's the most likely thing that happens in
Sharknado.
your neck of the woods in Indiana?
See, now
I
I got
mean-
Chris off guard.
Yeah. Now he's all off. He's flustered. He's
Look
blushing.
at him. Look at him.
I
A
wasn't
hip
even.
hop guy, all flustered.
Dude, I was all in serious mode and shit too. Crack me up. But no, so like for me, like I was saying last week, power outage would be my big thing because of either a sharknado or in the wintertime we get, thunderstorms and ice storms and shit like that, And so high winds in the spring and in the winter. I mean, but we get high winds because we're flat as fuck out here, just like Angelina Jolie's chest now since she got that surgery. And but then so like that and then icing and stuff like that. So like losing electricity is my biggest concern. And it mainly is my big concern in the wintertime.
Right.
Because when it gets so cold, not as cold as iceberg titties up there in Minnesota, Jason, but like it gets so cold that if you can't keep it warm inside your house, there's only a matter of time plus cooking food and everything like that. So that's what I was saying last time. I want to actually have either a wood burning stove or a full-fledged fireplace in my house. Like that way electricity goes out, I don't give a fuck. I don't need the internet. Let me just sit over here next to the fire. I'll stay warm. I can cook my food. Done. Melt some snow. Drink water. Done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, fire isn't what the one we're having today. It's food. So
I can cook my food on the fire. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't eat.
To be perfectly honest with you, how many people do you think are set up to be able to like with me? I had an earthquake, or you had a category 4 or 5, whatever you call that, F5
Sharknado,
tornado, or a freeze that came over for you for a couple of weeks. How good are you set up for a week? Are you set up for enough for a week that you've got something for a week?
Yeah, before the wintertime, I always go and get a bunch of like canned stuff, canned veggies, fruit, Chef Boyardee, and then like that those canned chilies and stuff like that. Even though they're like dog shit food, it's like, hey, if shit goes south, I'm gonna eat some dog shit.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's kind of where I'm getting at. So one of the first things that we talk about when we're talking about survival and things like that, when we talked about water last week, where I'd like to, for your household, you should have at least 60 gallons of water just stored away, just so you have the water. It's in the house, it's somewhere where you can access it. Another thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have have food. And everybody kind of thinks like, oh, all I need is rice and beans. I'm like, yeah, rice and beans are great until you get tired of rice and beans. I mean, really,
Or how you gonna cook them?
I mean, yeah, that's exactly right.
Because they're only storable, dried out.
You know what I'm saying? You
Exactly.
gotta boil them in water, right? So okay,
Yes,
how you
yes,
gonna boil the water? You gonna fucking just start a little campfire in your living room and
Oh
fucking
yeah,
put a
you got to
pot over
rub
top
two
of it?
sticks together. You rub the two sticks
Yeah,
together.
exactly. So that's why I was saying I want a fireplace. You know what I'm saying? Because then I can just put one of those little campfire grills right over top of it or whatever, you know, and fucking put my kettle on top of it or my fucking cast iron skillets that I got. Done.
Okay, so your most important thing so far in the last 2 weeks has been, I need warmth, I need fire, or I need something to keep me warm. That's your number one thing that you need. You
Yeah,
don't need
because
more
well,
than
because
food, more than food out here. Yeah,
more than
yeah.
food or
No,
I know
water.
this is going totally against
water and
the grain
food,
here,
yes, but
you're
without
not in the
heat, the
Midwest,
water and
man.
food is done. Yeah,
Two be-
without the
two be-
heat, the water and food is done.
At
You
2
know,
below zero, your house is below
cast iron
freezing.
Dutch oven, absolutely, Aaron.
Your house is below freezing in about an hour at 2 below if everything goes out. So think about that. That
Mhm.
means your water mains froze. You don't have water anymore. And the water you do have is shooting out of those water mains because it's open pipes. I've had it happen. It's horrible. Then
Mhm.
everything freezes. So you've got water shooting out and freezing in your house that you're at the same time trying to heat. Do I have food for 2 weeks? Absolutely. I always have enough for a couple weeks. And it's not even from prepping. It's just we have enough food for a couple weeks. I hate grocery shopping.
Mhm.
I wish I had a better answer to that, but
Is it
the
shelf
fo-
stable
in
or is it like in the freezer and shit?
some of it's in the freezer, but some of it's shelf stable. Now this is the beauty of winter. In the freezer, in the winter, you just put it outside.
Yep.
Except for this winter. But
Yeah.
this winter, like today, was
Warm.
45 degrees out. So if you had frozen items that were sitting outside, you better have them deep down in the ground or in an
Right.
ice block somewhere. But
Right.
knowing these things, to your point, Bruce, talking about food, the warmth and the just not freezing to death and food tie together exactly because you have to know how to preserve that food in all conditions. And
Well, that's
it's not
what I'm
just
getting at.
having it, you have to be able to preserve it in all conditions because the same food in New Mexico in the middle of July, it's a whole different problem than you have in Minnesota in the middle of January.
Would you say that you buy more fresh items or do you buy more box and cans items?
I have box and cans items for the just in cases, and I buy fresh items to eat every day.
This
Yeah,
is my
same.
point. This is my point. So most people that we're talking about that are going to listen to this podcast don't have any of that. They have maybe they still go, oh, food comes from the store. You know, meat comes from the store. Vegetables come from the store. You know, and stuff like that. So okay, we have to work with that mentality. So when people are going like, okay, well, you know, I can buy rice and beans and let's just, you know, in our imaginary world that they're able to cook this rice and beans when something goes down. So that's fine. You know, if you have to go spend a week with rice and beans, then go for it. I mean, that's just the way it is. But in order to actually do a practical type of survival method as far as what your food is going to be, it's pretty simple. I mean, you know, you start a food log because you know what you eat every day, right? My day, let's just put on my list. My list would be peanut butter and jelly and bread. That's first thing I eat in the morning. I eat a PB&J every morning. My wife makes me PB&J. I have a banana.
Egg McMuffin.
I have a banana or I have an orange. For lunch, I'll have whatever we left over the night before, like a piece of lasagna or steak or, you know, whatever we had the night before, and then for dinner we'll have, you know, whatever my wife wants to cook out of the box, because when she cooks out of a box and a can, and when I cook, you know, meat and vegetables and fresh stuff. But if you keep a food log, and when you go to the store and you go grocery shopping, and instead of picking up, you know, one can of you know, Nellie's chili, you know, pick up 2 cans of Nellie's chili, put one away, you have one for a week. And if you keep doing this food log, after a while you'll have a stash in about 6 months. If you go out and buy 2 for 1, you know, you can go to grocery outlet or Walmart or any place like that that has sales and stuff, and you can get some pretty good sales. And just have yourself a little stash. You know, if you just start little, you can expand to bigger. You know,
That's excellent advice. That is excellent advice.
Exactly. And
one extra can of something or one extra
Yeah.
non-perishable item that's food stuff of something every time you shop, in 6 months, you'll have a month of food for your whole
And
family.
just for comfort, you don't have to worry. It's all right to have rice and beans. In fact, anybody who shows up here, with nothing, no beans, no bullets or anything like that for me to use, they're getting rice and beans. They're going to watch me eat my ribeye and stuff that I have, So I'll set you up a tent out in my backyard. You can, lay on the cot,
Well,
and here's all my rice and beans that I've got. But
have you been through any of the earthquakes out there, Bruce? I'm not sure.
I have been through a couple of earthquakes, and to tell you the truth, because the building codes are so good here, and quote, we haven't had. I went through, 2 major earthquakes. Both of them, over 6 magnitude, which is pretty shaky. I mean, they still have them 7, 8, 9 up farther north than me, but shakers nonetheless.
I asked this because I wonder if it's the same thing that happens out here when there's a big blizzard or a massive tornado. Shy of just the complete breakdown of society, which we have other problems than what you're gonna fucking eat. At that point, you better just have guns and liquor, because that's all gonna matter. That's all that's gonna matter.
Yeah.
But
so
what I've always found, and this was the same in Massachusetts. I was in Massachusetts when the blizzard of 78 hit. I was 10 years old, and we got like 3.5 feet of snow in a day. Right after 4 days before that, we got 20 inches of snow. It shut everything down for a week. We lost power for a whole bunch of days. And I mean, I grew up in Westwood, like a first or second ring suburb of Boston. It wasn't like I'm in the middle of nowhere somewhere. And this was a real blizzard, and it shut everything down. People helped each other. Everyone was out walking, and someone didn't have food because they couldn't go to the store. The stores were empty. People did help each other. So knowing your neighbors and having a network of people that you can help and that can help you is always important, especially with food and in these kind of things. Same thing happened in the Halloween blizzard that happened out here. Jason, I'm sure you were here for this too. In 1991, we got 3 feet of snow on Halloween night. Shut Minneapolis down for 4 or 5 days. I was in college. I lived in a basement efficiency apartment that was like 300 square feet. And I just watched my window fill up with snow. So I was basically just living in a cement block. And I had moved my car from the top level of the parking ramp to the middle level of the parking ramp. So I know Bruce is all foreign to you, so just hang along with us. So there's 3 feet of snow. No one could get out. And I had my car on the second level, so I could get out. So I took 5 people in my car, which at the time was a 1971 Cutlass Supreme 2-door. And we drove to the grocery store, which was 1.5 miles away. It took me 3 hours to get to the grocery store, 1.5 miles away. With 5 of us, we got to the store. Of course, it was mobbed. Everyone got what they could, but it wasn't Armageddon. And this is the same, exactly the same area as the riots and stuff that just happened a few years ago. All the George Floyd riots. This is Lake Street. This is that same basic area that we're at in 2001, in an absolute disaster. People were helping each other. And, if someone wanted to buy a bunch of stuff and someone else needed it, they were giving it to it. I mean, there is that you need to consider. And it's also very important to the community. You need to have the food. You better have something, but also know that someone else might have something you need, and you might have something they need. Hey, I've got flour. You've got sugar. You've got a generator, so we can cook some bread, and we can get to the old guy across the street that's going to die if we don't get him something. And that was happening. So I don't always want this to be a doomsday kind of thing. It's like being prepared means you can also help people.
Mm-hmm. That's very important, because Jack Spirko really kind of nails that on the head. It's just like whenever he moves anywhere, and wherever I've moved anywhere, I make it a point to go knock on my doors of my neighbors, introduce myself, whether they like me or not. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But we have a good security system here. I've got 5 neighbors around me. We all have each other's phone numbers. We all know that we can count on each other if the chips are down and stuff like that. And with that overlap and knowing that, we're able to communicate in any type of situation, whether it be we need to be on the phone, whether we need to run across the street, whether we need to get over the fence, whatever. We can get to what we need, and everybody kind of knows what we have. It's like, I got a guy that does ammo, I'm the guy for food, and stuff like that. I've got generators, and I'm pretty prepped up. But to make the point is that there's more people now that couldn't tell you their neighbor's first name, and that's a problem. It's a huge problem because there's a huge gap. I mean, even though that there's going to be people that if we had a really serious earthquake here in our community, the first thing we're going to do is go knocking on doors, making sure that people are all right. But then there's that other segment of this community that are just they're socially, I don't want to say socially introverted. I just want to say that they don't know what to do. They're so fucking dumbed down by society. They're so fucking, sick in the head from what they believe in of this wokeism and stuff like that, that they wouldn't have a clue. They're freaking out. They're
Bruce,
going crazy because they have no idea what's
it's
going
not even
on.
just wokeism. It's good times make weak men. And
exactly.
we have it so incredibly well here in this country that the slightest little, in 5 days of if there was a nationwide collapse of the power grid, say in 5 days, we'd have total anarchy in this country. It'd be gunfights in the streets. It would be, you can get away with 5 days in little areas of this and that happening. There was, remember when the ranchers, they were messing with that guy's cattle out there out west, and a whole bunch of the ranchers got together around the bridge with their ARs and stuff and said, "Hey, we're not letting you do this." And they just surrounded. Yep. Yeah, exactly. They surrounded everybody and said, "You're not going to take these guys' stuff."
Right.
And the only thing that the government could do is back down because, they
don't want a massacre on TV. Yeah.
Well, that's why we have guns. And that's why we haven't done it.
Too.
That's why the left is not doing what they want. That's why the world hasn't invaded us. And, that's why having these conversations about food and stuff is important. But it's all because no one's going to come and take them because we have guns.
Well, I think that it's not just the left doesn't do what they want. I just think that the government doesn't get a chance to do what they want, because left or right, power is the name of the game. It just depends on how they want to manipulate you in order to give.
Exactly.
Yeah. The right and the left is just the ways that they manipulate you to surrender your power to them.
No, I've got Democrats all the way around me. We all get along. We all know that we can count on each other. We all know we're all ready to freaking I got a gun. we're going to defend this place, right? So it's different than the left and right in politics. Totally.
Yeah. And when it comes to the food too, one thing that people need to make sure that you have it rotated. First in, first out, meaning that you take the oldest stuff first and you eat that or you use that or whatever. So make sure that whenever you're grabbing that extra can of something or whatever box of something or whatever it is from the store, check the date on it. Try to get the one that's the furthest date away possible. And then whenever you come home to your pantry, that you put it into the back, and what I used to do, so right before lockdown started, when everything was kind of like building up, I was that crazy person that was going to the store and getting $100 worth of food every other day.
And toilet paper?
And no, we already had enough toilet paper. I didn't worry about that. I was mainly getting food. I'm like, fuck it, we got washcloths and water, dude. We ain't got to worry about toilet paper, right? And
people in California needed toilet paper.
Yeah, I was like, food, you know what I'm saying? And so I was getting it, and my kid's mom, we were together at that time, and she thought I was losing my mind. Right. Well, then once they locked everything down and she started seeing everybody else on on Facebook and stuff like that, going to the store and buying out all kinds of stuff or whatever, she's like, hey, we should probably go to the store. I was like, well, we're good for like 3 months. What do you want to go to the store for? She's like, I want to see what it looks like, because she hadn't been out during that whole catastrophe. And so we went. She's like, oh my God, all this stuff is gone, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so what I did was I had those little like stickers that you can get for yard sales, the different like color circle stickers, and I was putting different colors on different things for like different years and stuff like that, like this one's first, this one's last, and everything like that. And so then that way, because my kids were a little bit younger then, they were in like 6th grade or something like that, and I was like, hey, when you go grab anything off the shelf, make sure it's the yellow stickers. We're using all the yellow stickers first, and then we go get the orange stickers, right? And then that way everything was good. So you guys got to make sure that you do that, because if not, yeah, you may have canned food, but if it's 6-12 months expired,
or if you have bush beans that'll like
rotate the food out for sure. I mean, that's something that's really important.
George Bush beans don't taste as good as the regular new Bush beans. So
yeah, you don't want to
cycle your food through, so you're not, because it's really easy to let a can of stuff sit for 8 years.
Yeah.
And will it kill you? No. Is it gonna make you sick? No, but it's not gonna taste good.
It
So
could make you
use
sick.
them
It
as you go
depends.
through.
Yeah. Yeah. That
The
a
point-
little bit of a crack inside that seal of that can, let a little air in there. Yeah. Let that sit for 6 to 8 months and see how good it tastes. You're going to be fucked up you're going to need more than toilet paper for that shit.
The point is, guys, is that the actual gist of this show, when we're talking about the prepping and the survival and stuff like that, it's just the practical facts that you need to be prepared. I mean, you need to have the heat, like Harko says. You need to have the house, the roof over your head. You got to have lights on. You got to have food. Got to have water and things like that. It's just those little things that you can build up for yourselves. And even if you start with 3 days of extra stuff, that's better than not having the next meal. And I know for some people that listen to this, they're not in that financial condition, but you can get in that condition just by a little bit of habit. There are other things that you can do. So I mean, I hate to pound on. I mean, there's people like me that are here for people like that, and there's people in your community that are here for people that can't afford. So I don't think that there's a situation there. It's just it's a pride issue pretty much when it comes down to that. And believe me, I would be the first one there for anybody who knocked on my door and said, look, the chips are down. I got nothing. I'm going to, I'm going to provide. So that's what,
yeah.
So when we're talking about,
even for people who don't have very much, if you haven't been raised like that, you probably don't know that when you don't have much, when you have a little extra, that's the time to get a little extra, because you never know when you're not going to have as much later. So even if you're not prepping for the storm or prepping for the next COVID or prepping for martial law or whatever, you're just prepping for a rainy day in your paycheck. Right. You get sick for a week or something like that. Now you got to sit there. You're like, okay, we're just eating Chef Boyardee this week. Luckily, I got some extra ones 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Stuff like that.
Exactly. So we're coming up against our hard stop. So this is not the only subject that we talk about on this podcast. So I'm just going to run it around to the round table here and tell Ken, and Ken's going to tell you what he's going to talk about on future editions of our podcast. Ken, go ahead, introduce yourself and plug your stuff.
Oh, sure. So I'm an artist. So one of the things I'm trying to do, like we talked about a little bit earlier in this show, was if we're going to change things, let's change things. Let's start with the culture. And I'm a political junkie. I watch the stuff. I find it. I vote. I do this. This is why we're all great here, because we all have different views of things. I worked for 10 years inside of politics, to pretty high levels, and I realized it was completely worthless, and I wasted 10 years that I should have been building myself. But I do have a knowledge of how it all works, and seeing that the way the left has done it and the way the people that are trying to destroy liberties and country. This is the kind of thing I'm going to talk about, because they've been very successful at it. We should look at what they did, pat them on the back for it, and say, we can do that too, but we can do it better because we actually have the arguments on our side. And we just need more arts. We need more music. We need more of these podcasts. It's changing. And this is the kind of thing that, like we talked about with Aaron before in his show, Horrible Designs, what he's doing. Myself with my own art. I don't do political art. I just don't. I'm not going to paint eagles and Trump flying around driving a Mustang shooting a gun in the air. I hate that shit. I'm just going to
good on a t-shirt.
It's been on a t-shirt, and that's the thing. Maybe I will do a t-shirt. Like, all right, because I'm a rabid capitalist too. So if it can make me some money, I'll do it. But this is what I'm looking at talking about, is that kind of thing. I'm a car guy. I'm a motorcycle guy. I hate sports. I don't hunt. I don't fish. But I'm a gun fanatic. So it's, when the food wars start, I can shoot the deer, but I'm gonna have to find someone that knows what to do with the thing when it's dead laying there.
I'll help you, Ken.
So yeah, well, there you go. Jason knows. So we'll go over Jason's channel. I'll shoot 10 deer and we'll all eat. So anyway, that's me. I'm Ken. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Bruce, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So for those of y'all, he didn't plug himself very well, but Ken, he does custom artwork. So if you need anything done, like if your grandpa had a 1932 Hitler mobile or whatever it is that he's kept ever since the end of World War II, and he wants an awesome oil painting of it or whatever, Ken can do it. It's good, but he's a fucking badass drawer, especially at cars and shit. So, yeah. Me, I mainly focus on individual independence. being as self-reliable as possible. Growing up as an only child, pretty much, for most of my life, I was always relied on myself, and of course, obviously, the elders that I was living with, whether it was my grandparents or my parents. But when you grow up with brothers and sisters and stuff like that, you kind of got some people who you can bounce off of and you can depend on when you need, right? Well, I've always kind of been just rolling solo. And so that's kind of the angle I come with everything. How can you do something 100% by yourself? And so that's kind of what I focus on in the music realm. I mainly help out independent hip hop artists, but I've also worked with podcasters. Shout out to Two Beers with the Band podcast. Make sure you go check out Chris Shrum over there. He is a Nashville, Tennessee native who interviews a lot of local Nashville bands and stuff like that. It's a dope podcast he's got going, so I'm helping him get his up and running and everything like that. But I mainly help out with people trying to do it independent. I spend a lot of time, like I said, in the music realm, and I'm an artist as well too. I like to get behind the mic and make some dope music. And but yeah, Music Making Sense podcast, musicmakingsense.pod.com is where I operate. I got a podcast, me and my co-host KP, which Ken and actually all the guys on here love him because he's very animated.
He's the best.
Yeah, and then I poke and prod him as well too, and get him going because he loves Adam Calhoun, especially whenever he's teamed up. Especially whenever he's teamed up with Tom McDonald. Yeah, no, so. Yeah, so on a side note, real quick, I don't know if any of y'all saw that Tom McDonald and Ben Shapiro put a song together here lately, right?
I saw that.
I saw that on Instagram, and I sent that to KP because he doesn't like Tom McDonald either. He didn't even fucking respond. So tomorrow we're gonna be shooting the podcast, and that's the first time I'm gonna ask him. As soon as we go live on air, I'm gonna ask him. So yeah, we're gonna see what goes on with that. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I got a podcast to talk about music marketing, how to do things independent, how to go around the system and do different things. And then I work one-on-one with artists as well as people with business and stuff like that too. People who need video editing, marketing, email marketing, creation, content creation strategy, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Music Making Sense podcast, musicmakingsense.pod.com for any and everything Music Makes Sense pod.
Go, Jason. Jason?
Yeah, I'm here.
Plug yourself, brother.
Jason makes some very fucking horrible designs. God damn, are they horrible?
We like Harkos because Harkos does all of our promo spots. He's got the smoothest voice around.
That's right.
Yeah,
but yeah, Jason does horrible designs. He is the one that made these cups, made this nice little koozie that I have here, and he does all kinds of stuff, and he's a great graphic designer, and he's cashing in on his 14-year-old. So anybody who wants to go to horribledesigns.com, please go there, and one of these days we'll have a promo code for all of you guys, and then you can go and get maybe a discount or something. That's up to him. But anyway,
yeah,
that's what's going on with him. But
yeah, he's got affiliate stuff. I got his affiliate link on my podcast and stuff like that too. So
yep, I can do discount codes. I have one for Aaron's podcast for his members, and I could probably do one for this one too.
Absolutely,
very cool.
All right. Yep. So we're at the end of this. We've gone a little bit over today, but hey, we just want to welcome you guys back to the podcast in 2 weeks because we do this what Ken calls bi-weekly. I call it bi-monthly, but that wasn't the right thing. But yeah, we do bi-weekly podcasts. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to share a little bit more information with you and our insights and everything else that we got going on. But the main thing that we do here on this podcast is that we know that the only winning move is to not play the game. You guys have a great week. Have a great life, and we'll see you next time on the Weather Report. Have a good one, guys.
Yep. Keep it angry, Aaron.
Yep.
See ya.